So just a quick recap. We have seen how the server socket class is used to create server that listen for the clients, and that client may be resided in a local machine or a remote machine. How to create server socket? We are using one of the three constructors. First constructor accepts only the port number through which it wants to communicate. Second constructor accepts the port number and the max queue. Max queue indicate maximum number of requests it wants to process simultaneously. Using multi-threading, Java can process multiple requests simultaneously. Then third constructor specifies the inet address. That suppose from the server side, if you want to connect to a specific client, then we can use this third. Then the fourth constructor is a blank without any parameters. It can create a server socket and later on it can bind to a client. So whenever client request come, it will just then it will try to bind. Anyways, now let us look at the instance method. There is first instance method called as get local port. It returns the port that the server socket is listening to. So simultaneously, server may listen to multiple ports also to process multiple requests. Then even it can listen to one port for multiple requests. So in that case, we want to know which port I'm using. Uh, Through the program, we can make use of get local port. In your textbook, now here you can see this type, part of information. I have changed the font because this information is not available in the textbook. In the textbook, they have given only the constructors. But as you all know that without using the methods, we can't process the program. So I have used this additional methods. But in theory exam, they may not ask it. It may be just for your information or knowledge purpose. So I've changed this font. So just for your understanding, you can study it. But exam point of view, this is not very important. Anyways, then there is a second method called as accept. This method is very important. It is used to accept the client connection. Without this, the server socket cannot connect to any of the client. Now, when the server socket invokes accept, the method will not return any value till it receives a connection from the client. So first, it is something, as yesterday I was giving you a simple example of a shopkeeper. The shopkeeper has to open the shop. When it opens the shop, then only the customer will come. Similarly here, the server has to first start listening. That means it should keep itself open, and when it wants to show that I am open to accept the request, it should invoke the method accept. Fine. So then once the client comes, then it will connect to that. Fine. Then next is set to timeout. Now this accept, the server will keep on listening till a client comes. So till then it will keep on listening. Or there is another instance at which this listening will be stopped. Server socket will not endlessly go on listening. It will wait for a particular specific duration of time, and that duration we can set, and that is called as a timeout. So a server socket keeps on listening till it receives a request from the client or till the timeout occurs. So what is that timeout? There will be some default value for the timeout, or you can specify the timeout value by using set so timeout. Set so timeout is the method. Then next is bind. So when we have created a server socket blank like this without specifying any of the port, later on you can bind to a specific port using bind method. Fine. So now let us look at the program. This is your similar to your journal program, which you have already executed, a client program and a server program. It is the same, I mean similar to your networking program also. So let us quickly look at the logic of this program. What I have done to make you understand, I have first given the steps for creating the server socket. This is like algorithm of the program, and then I have actually given you the program code. So what is the steps to create a simple server program? So first the server has to, it is something like a shopkeeper, as the shopkeeper has to open the shop, then only the customer can connect. Similarly, a server socket has to first be created. You have to execute server program first, then the client can connect. So here you can see that first we are going to check the logic of the server socket. So the step is, first we have to open the server socket. That means we have to create the object of the server socket. Here I have created the server socket object by name SS server socket. So that's why the abbreviation SS is used. It is connected to the port 7777. As you can see that after some previous numbers, later on you can connect to any of the number. Then wait for the client request. As you all know, I was telling you that when the server will start listening by using the accept method. The moments, now here you have to understand very carefully. We make use of socket. Socket is the client socket at two instances. Fine. So let me just type here and show you, or I will just use the annotations and I'll show. Yeah. So as you can see here, there is server socket. Server socket is here. Now in the server socket will start listening. It will start listening. Then it will invoke the accept method. The moment, when will accept stop listening? When there will one particular client will come with a request, that time this server socket will stop listening. The moment it stops, so server socket's work is only to listen. What is the job of a server socket? Only to listen for a client. So because it only server socket can listen. Once the server finishes listening, that means once it gets a partner to talk to. So here you can see that there is a client socket, or it is simply called as a socket. So here is where you have a socket. So here is a socket. Now this socket will listen to server socket. What is this part here? This is server socket. Now, what is the server socket's job? Server socket doesn't start talking. Server socket just listens and it gets connected with the socket. That's all. So, the moment the socket gets connected with the server socket, its work is over. Now, server socket's work is over. What it will do then? The server machine, it will create another simple socket here. So it will create another socket. Now this socket is working as a communication point at the server machine. So don't think that the socket or the client socket exists only at the client side. It also exists at the server side. Because what is the job of a socket? To start communication. So when the server socket program, when the server socket at the server side, it will listen. But once the connection is established, who will start communicating with each other? The sockets which are present at the client as well as at the server. So this socket will talk to this socket. Like this, then the communication will take place between the two sockets. So can you see here? So who will talk to each other? The socket and the socket. But what is the difference between these sockets? This is a client socket right from the beginning. Here, this socket, which is actually a simple socket, but which is given rise, or which is representing the server socket. So from the server machine, who talks is actually a socket only. But we call it a server socket because it has emerged from the server socket. So with this brief, you can say introduction, here we will see the server socket object we have created, whose name is SS. Now this server socket is getting created with some port number 7777. This server socket will start listening, or it will wait for the request using the method accept. The accept will stop its work, it will stop listening only when it receives a request from the client. So from the client, when the request comes, suppose the client is S and it sends a request. That request is accepted by another socket which is resided at the server side. So this socket will communicate with the socket in the client program. Now, S is my socket which is actually responsible for communication. Remember, server socket's job is just to listen and get connected. After it has got connected, who will take over? The socket at the server side. Now, let us see how do we create output stream, because now listen here. Server is supposed to give. Giving means writing. Writing means creating the output stream. So what will server do? Server will just give out the information. So here we create a output stream object. Now this output stream object is actually the output stream coming from which socket? So who is this socket? The socket at the server side, who will get its output stream and it will give it to out. Now, using this output stream out, we are creating data output stream. You may wonder, why are we creating data output stream? Because data output stream has formatted input output methods. So when we want to show it on the screen, we want to make use of the methods which are there in data output stream. Only by output stream we may not be able to show. So what we have done, we have created one data output stream object whose name is DOS. Now this data output stream object is created by accepting the parameter of the output stream. So this out is represented here or sent here as a parameter. So the output stream which is connected with the sockets output stream, it will be given as parameter to DOS. So DOS indirectly it represents the output stream from the socket. Now what are we going to do using our data output stream object? We are going to write it on the screen. How are we going to write it on the screen? Using the method write bytes. Why write bytes? Because the client will accept or receive the information in the form of bytes. Fine. So what I'm going to write at the client machine, welcome to Java programming. And then I will close the socket at the server. So clear about this? Now let us see at the program. So this was just a algorithm. Actual program, we require to import two packages here. One is in IO package because we are using input stream and output stream. We also need to import .NET package because we are using networking classes. My class name is server demo which has main method. Here I am creating the object for server socket class and I am connecting it with the port 7777. Now initially when the server is ready, the shopkeeper is ready with the shop and he has opened it. So once it is ready, it is going to send a message called as server is ready. This is not required, it is just to make us understand whether the server is ready. Then I am giving a message here, server is ready. Now server will start listening. It will listen till when? Till it will get connected from the client. When it receives a client online with the same port number and with its now suppose this particular server socket is located in my machine. So if there is some client who will access this particular server on my machine, then my accept will stop listening. The moment it stop listening, it hands it over to the socket class object called as socket S. Now S will take over the communication from the server side. I'm just displaying a message on the server machine only using client started. After I've displayed this message, I have also displayed another message called as sent message to the client. So these two messages I'm going to execute from the server machine only, remember. Then after that, I want to send something to the client. What I'm going to send something to the client. So to send anything to the client, I have to use output stream. Now this output stream is nothing but it is going to come from the socket's output stream. Which socket? This particular S here, which I have created. Now this S, its output stream will be created and it will be stored in the out. Now from this out, I am creating data output stream by passing this out here. Now this data output stream will be used to display the message, where this data output stream is going to send this particular message in the form of byte stream to the client. So this will be welcome to Java programming, though I have written it in server program, but where will this get displayed? On the client machine. So you have to observe carefully while at the time of execution. Then here I am closing my data output stream, I am closing my socket, and I am also closing server socket. So this was about the server side program. It should have parallelly the client side program also. So quickly let us look at the steps for creating client program. In client program, I need not require, I don't need server socket object. Here I use only the plain socket object which represents the client. So I create a socket with the same name as S. You can even give different names here. You can give S1 here and S2 here. Clear? This S is at the server side. This S is at the client side. Anyway, I'm just displaying you the algorithm here. So I'm creating a simple client object, client socket object. So its name is S. Now this is connecting to the local host. Now since both the client and the server I am using from my machine only. So this is my client program. From this client program, I want to create a socket which will connect to the server. Where is my server located? In the local host, in my machine only. So I have given here the address as localhost. Suppose if I want to connect to some other PC, I will just use its IP address and I will use the port number through which I want to communicate. So in the lab, we may demonstrate it by connecting it to different machine also. Right now, I'm connecting it to the same PC, which is called referred as localhost. Then to send the information or to receive the information from the client. Now, client is going to receive the information. So for receiving information, uh, I'm creating input stream object. Now this input stream is going to be actually from the sockets input stream. So you can see here. So this is sockets get input stream. From there, the connection will get established to the in. Now this input stream in I'm going to use as a parameter to create what? Data input stream. Why I'm doing all this? Because data input stream is the proper object or the proper class which has proper methods to send or receive. Now here this input stream, data input stream, I have created to receive the information from the server. How I'm going to receive? Using the method readLine. So readLine method will receive the information from the server, and that read information will be stored in a string variable called as msg, and then I'm going to display that. So this is the algorithm of the client program. Let us look at the code quickly. As you all know, I have to again import both these. My program name is client demo, my class name. Then I have main method. I have created a socket because it's a client. So I have created a client side socket which is connecting to the server which resides at the local host with the port number 7777. Then I'm creating input stream object by using my socket class ka get input stream. Now my in will be the input stream which has access to the sockets input stream. Now this in I'm passing it to data input stream because through data input streams method I'm going to receive information. Which method I'm using? ReadLine. So that read information will go to MSG. How am I printing that MSG? Using system.out.println along with the message server message is, and then I am attaching MSG. Now from where this MSG will come? From the server. Now let me show you. From the server, I am sending the information using my output stream. What information I'm sending? Welcome to Java programming. Now this will come to client using this read line. It will come into MSG, and here it will print the message. Server message is welcome to Java programming. Then I'm closing my input stream, and I'm also closing my socket. So how to execute this? So for that, I will just take you to my NetBeans. As you all know, here I have my client program. So my client, here I have created a socket with the local host, because my server is at the local host with the port 7777. I have created input stream using sockets get input stream. I have created data input stream to receive the information. I'm using read line method. In NetBeans, this read line will occur as striked one because it is the uh, old method. It was used in old method. Now there are alternatives. Then that will be stored in a message, and I am printing the message. Let us look at the server side program. Here I have the program called a server demo, which is creating server socket with the port 7777. Then I am printing a message, server is ready. Server will start listening to when it will receive a request from the client. How will it receive a request from the client? Let me open the client program again here. The moment the socket is trying to get created with connecting to the server, then what will happen? This server will receive that information and it will accept. Then it will hand it over for the communication to S object. Now from the server machine, I'm displaying a message, server connected and sent message to client. That's all. Server will stop displaying. Then it will send the message to the client using this output stream. What message it is going to send? Welcome to Java programming, and it will close. Now who should open the shop first? Who should start the communication? Server program. So what I will do, I will run the server first. Now server just says server is ready. It will not say send information to the client because client has to first get connected. So I'll go to client. I will run that. After I run that, you can see client immediately gets connected and it will see server messages welcome to Java programming. Actually, it has got this output stream, output window has got merged here. I want to take this, yeah, not here. Yeah, this is how I want it. So let me just show you server output. Server is ready. Then I will show client output. Client immediately gets connected and it will say welcome to Java programming. Fine. So that server's connection created send message to client. We don't have option to see it here. If you run it at the command line, command prompt, using how you used to do in without NetBeans in third sem, if you execute this program, you'll be able to see even this connection created send message to client. When you execute this program there, you have to open two terminals, and then at both the terminals, you'll be able to see this message. Clear? I hope this program is clear. Now with this, we have completed all our journal programs. So this was our, I don't remember the number, but this was our one more networking journal program. So two programs based on networking. One was this client and server demo, and second was inet address, which I have already explained you how to get the IP address using inet address class. So these two programs were remaining from the journal. I think the write-up I have to still finalize and send you. I will send you within 2-3 days. Maybe I'll send you today itself. And then please complete the write-up. Printouts are already taken. They will be given to you once the college starts. We have to preserve the journal because this time there is going to be a lot of inspection. In fact, these videos and notes what we are sending, even that we are supposed to preserve and send. We are also preserving your attendance as some participants information through Zoom as proof. Fine, so I can preserve any of the attendance here. Anyways, so with this we have finished socket class. So tomorrow we are going to learn the remaining classes. So till then, if you have any doubts, you can drop your doubts in the chat box. I'll be able to answer that. Yes, so let's wind up with the class today. Fine. Anyone has a doubt? Because it's not audible properly, better you put it in the chat box. Fine. So we'll just stop.